So what's going on here is, okay, so the Times did this interview with James Gunn, and all the media is running with bits and pieces of this, and I wish we had more time to go through this. I wish we actually had started this sooner, but everything, the box office got in the way and all that business. But I have a feeling Andre is going to be doing a video on this before too long, because this is a very interesting interview.
Probably.
Because I got to say up front, you read the actual full interview, and if you don't read the write-ups of the interview, you actually read the interview, you can tell the parts where the interviewer or writer of this article is editorializing, and they're clearly cherry-picking shit that Gunn's saying on top of this, on top of it all to begin with, and then on the other write-ups, they're cherry-picking the cherry-picking. Does that make sense? Because this guy keeps trying to get into politics over and over and over again in this conversation, and Gunn in most places tries to steer out of it. Now, he does say a few things that I would say was not the smartest thing for him to say, but otherwise most of his answers in this interview I don't have a problem with. And then they're also adding all the shit back in that he said back in 2017 about Trump and stuff to this.
And whenever a journalist does that, when you are interviewing someone right now and you're getting answers right now, and then they go back to an earlier interview, that means that they didn't get the answers they were looking for right now, and they're trying to spin a narrative, which is whenever they go back to an old story. This is always and without exception done to spin a certain narrative or to underline a certain point. Now, I haven't had the chance to read this thing in detail just yet, but I think that this is an attempt at spinning a narrative, and not necessarily one that came from Gunn.
Well, even look at the caption. Look at the caption underneath this photo. Can you see? Can you scroll down to it, Tom?
Underneath it says Superman's back and the Man of Steel is taking on Trump. Yeah, nowhere in this entire interview, okay, does James Gunn himself say Trump.
No, he makes some comments that I think were ill-advised.
Yes, I'm not going to disagree with you there.
This writer, and this isn't the first time they've been doing this. I'm seeing this as a trend where what I think is going on is the author is hoping to generate clicks on an article.
Yes.
Either by angry readers or MSNBC adherents, that
this motherfucker knows exactly what he's doing, Chris.
Yeah.
If you read Andre is spot on in his assessment, in my opinion. But this guy has a fucking agenda here. Yeah. And he's going after the clicks, like you just said.
And Variety picked up on it and took it even further. So Variety referenced this. This came out Sunday, and this is the London Times. If anybody heard me say,
yeah, I knew it was some Times. I couldn't remember what Times it was. Yes, thank you.
So he did a Sunday profile or whatever, and that's what this is. And it's generally straight up. He does say a few inartful things, and you would think that Gunn would be a little more savvy by now because he has demonstrated savvy. But nobody's doing it better than Tom Cruise. There's your callback to Tom Cruise. But the Variety,
and the kid from Harry Potter did it good too when he was asked about J.K. Rowling.
Yes, but the Variety one went even further and made it more. The pull quotes in the Variety article were definitely intended to upset people, and I'm just wondering: are they doing that because they don't care what Zaslav and Warner Brothers think? Because most of the time it's just promotional. Okay.
Well, I don't know. Did you happen to catch our video from this last weekend here, Chris?
No, I have not watched it. It's in my queue.
Okay. So yeah, as Andre kind of hinted at the beginning, there's and we're not saying that there aren't people who dislike the film or don't like the look of the film and just in general. Yeah. And you're not a part of these other two parties, but we highlighted two parties that are specifically going after this movie, and James Gunn and Warner Brothers. Okay. And the media complex is one of those people, which would include Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline. And the reason for this is because it's very well known within Hollywood that A, Zaslav is conservative. B, they don't like him. because he's an outsider, just like Trump is, right? He's not a movie mogul. He's a guy who came in. He's the guy that, as far as they're concerned, he's the cheap bastard who helped make fucking reality TV a big deal, right? Like, that's the way they kind of see him. He's a TV guy coming in here trying to play movie guy. They don't like that. They don't like anything he does, no matter. He could sit there and say, water is good for you. And these motherfuckers would come out and say, are you kidding me? Water is the worst thing you can put in your body.
Yeah. But Paulie, you.
And then, of course, the other ones are Snyder Bros. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, in Disney, it wouldn't surprise me if anybody from Disney was trying to undermine the movie.
Oh, I'm sure of that too. But
absolutely.
They don't have to. There's plenty of people that have a reason to want to see this movie fail.
And again, this movie could suck. I'm less than, just over 24 hours, I guess you could say, away from seeing this film myself. And I am nervous as fuck. I've never been this nervous going into a Superman movie before. I went into Superman Returns ready to just come out of that thing fired up, and then come out and I was like, it was all right. I can't wait for the sequel. He'll do a better job in the sequel. We never got that sequel. Man of Steel, I went in going, oh man, this is the guy that made The Watchmen, one of the best comic book adaptations of all time. This is going to fucking rule. And I walked out of it going, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now this is the first time I'm going in with completely tempered expectations, going, this might be a bad movie. I am setting myself up for that possibility, because Andre will be the first person to back me up, saying, regardless of how I feel going into a movie, I try not to let my bias get in the way of everything else, no matter how it seems, because I was all for Beetlejuice. I was one of the first I remember showing him my ticket I bought right away when they went on sale. And I walked out of that thing more disappointed than anybody I know.
Yeah, so and the thing that should have you worried is that I think that I'm judging by what Paulie said. I think I'm in a better position to like it because I absolutely freaking love Peacemaker.
Yeah, I think, and that's one I watched very little of.
Can I add one more thing? Because you had like 2 points to this, and it was in your video.
Sure.
Yeah,
and
go for it.
Andre wanted me to chime in on this.
Yeah, I did, yes.
The third thing here, and I think it's kind of obvious, is that Hollywood now has a love boner over anything immigrant.
Yeah, that's very relevant. So they might be artificially pushing in as something that is by default in the story anyway, because he's kind of from the planet Krypton.
Yeah,
he's a refugee from Krypton. Exactly.
I mean, it is splattered all over this city. Both figuratively and literally, as far as immigrants and being kind and we've lost our humanity. And it's like, well, we can hijack those ideals because that's what James Gunn's been talking about. Hey, yeah. he must be making a political statement. And it's like, you know what? That's bullshit, man. James, if anything, is a showman. And I'm not saying that he doesn't agree with those politics. He probably does, as does 90% of Hollywood right now.
Yeah.
But that's what this whole thing is. And
I don't think he makes any secrets about that. But what I think is funny about this interview is that the interviewee keeps trying to steer it in this political direction. In fact, he's trying to get those kind of sound bites out of him that you're talking about, Paulie. And some people are pulling that out of this. But if you actually read the full statements, most of the time he's trying to stay pretty neutral, right? Well, they ask him about the disagreement between Lois and Clark. He's like, well, isn't that reflective of what's going on right now with everybody arguing in their own households, basically, in so many words? Now, that's not exactly what he's saying. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's the gist of what I got out of it. I'm editorializing now. But at the same time, here's the big quote that everybody's getting into, and it's the immigrant/refugee quote, right? So this is how it's set up here. And before you say Superman has gone woke, this is all Superman's lengthy history, and it goes into part about how, he's from another planet we just brought up, and a specific story. And then it goes, Superman is the story of America, Gunn says, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country, but for me, it is mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value that is something we have lost. And he's been saying this before all this stuff. Like you said, like Paulie, they may have hijacked that idea, but he's been saying this since the movie's been announced. Like, this has been
100%.
the thing. He's been the same drum he's been
Totally. I
beating.
mean, this is taken
100%.
way out of context. Yeah.
And I just want to say also too, celebrities have been anything but subtle in their statements in regards to what's going on with ICE and all that. In all their social media, celebrities have not been subtle about their feelings right now.
And the question actually steers it in that direction, and he comes out of it, with saying, yeah, of course it's going to play different in a red state versus a blue state. But that's kind of what takes it back to the whole thing with Lois and Clark. And that other part is that he basically is saying that he's giving us both sides of the equation, right? So you have Superman who refuses to kill, right? He says here earlier. And you have the other side of it where Lois is trying to make the argument that sometimes you have to kill, which makes sense because Lois, being raised in a military family, probably would come from that kind of place. Like, yeah, sometimes you just gotta take some bad motherfuckers out because shit happens, right? And Superman's like, that's just not the way I operate, right? If that's the case in this movie. I don't know. You've seen the movie, you can speak to it better than I can, but that's the way he's kind of explaining it here.
I can and I can't, right? Because I don't want to keep spoiling.
True.
So,
but I mean, you can tell me if my sentiments, if I'm more in line with what he's saying here, or if you think I'm off, I guess is a better way of asking that.
No, I think you're on point.
Okay, so then. So that's about all we need to really say on that. So again, this is the big quote that everybody's keying in on. And then they editorialize about the shit that happened in 2018. Then everybody's picking up on that again. At no point does he bring up Trump.
Check out the private chat.
Oops, sorry.
I can't spell, but you guys know.
Yeah, I can read.
Yeah,
I can even read dyslexically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. You're my people. You're my people.
So then they try to steer back into it again, and they talk about the monkeys trolling away, and because this is where they try to ask him about the cancelization, and this is what I was saying before too, where I said, I don't know, I think it may have more to do with Snyder Bros and things like that. And one of my guys said to me, yeah, you're kind of more headed down the right road in so many words. And he says right here, because they ask him about the trolling monkeys and all that shit, and they asked specifically, was that about you getting was that about you and what happened to him? He goes, I don't think so, he says, grinning. It's not really about me, but people in general driven by rage or the bots government pays for and that create all sorts of nonsense.
I found that Superman to be an interesting comment. Just the governments pay for bots to bother you.
Well, I think he's being very coy here.
Yeah.
I think he specifically did this as a jab at the Snyder Bros, but he's not going to fucking say that.
You know what having seen this film, like, it seems like an eternity. And I'm so happy it's finally coming out. It's amazing to see just all the stories and all the takes and all the rumors and leaks. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, guys. And kind of what Tom was saying, it's like I could see why Tom is sweating it right now. This is crazy.
And then he goes on to just
fail. They wanted to fail.
Yeah, badly. And he goes, Superman does seem to come at a particular time when people are feeling a loss of hope in other people's goodness. But we also have to remember, and this is the part he doesn't say out loud, they started shooting this movie before Trump was president, when everybody still thought Kamala was going to be president. Remember that. So none of this immigration thing, because they even ask him about the skirmish overseas in the fake countries that happens in this movie, and compare it to the thing we're dealing with politically right now. And he basically says, yeah, I made this fucking movie like 2 fucking years ago, dude.
He doesn't take the bait at all for that one.
Yeah, and he tries to do it a couple fucking times to him. Yeah. So I got to give James credit that he actually bounced around this pretty good, but the media is feeding into something it really isn't, in my opinion.
The activist media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is, guys.
Well, they're chasing clicks again. They're playing into the current zeitgeist politically just to get the clicks.
So here's the Middle Eastern thing. Yeah. So he goes, oh, really? I don't know. But when I wrote this Middle Eastern conflict wasn't happening. Right. So that's what I'm saying. So like a lot of these things that people are trying to feed into this movie weren't even a thing yet when he made it. Yeah. So,
and to be fair, we say the Middle Eastern conflict. When has there not been a conflict in the Middle East? The Middle East has been a total war zone since the dawn of humankind.
Yeah. You know, this isn't helped by the fact that what was it last week that Corn Sweat kind of left Truth, Justice, and the American Way sort of off of his quote, the American Way part. You know, the good things is I think what he said instead. It's, you know, Hollywood just kind of, I think they just sort of have this love-hate.
That bothers me, Chris, but I think I know why.
Okay.
Because and Paulie left, so he can't say whether this is the thing, but I did ask somebody, is that even in the movie? Like, does somebody quote it or anything? And they basically said no.
Oh, okay.
So it's not even a thing in the movie itself, but it's on the marketing material and some other things, mostly just toys and things. And I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, they're trying to mass market this for the world. And that's the other thing is James Gunn is trying to say Superman is for the world, right? Well, yeah, because you want to sell this motherfucker in China, in Mexico, South America, Australia, all over the place. You don't want it to just be an American thing. It just reminds me of the Captain America thing when they made Captain America the first Avenger everywhere else around the world, because outside of America, they thought, who's going to want to go see a movie called Captain America? Because at that point, nobody outside of America knew who the fuck Captain America was.
Well, I mean, or they just don't want to see some jingoistic superhero.
And that's just the other. Okay, and then that gets me to my next point is that right now, like even if I, being myself, I as somebody who has a little bit of a background in advertising and shit, I would probably tell them to veer away from the America shit outside the U.S. right now, just because of the way that things are.
Sure.
And that's just a marketing thing where I'd be like, but, keep that out of the equation. But I agree with you that it's stupid when it comes to this, because it has always been a part of Superman's.
Yeah, exactly.
legacy.
I mean, you think about it. I think I've seen 7 Superman movies. 2 of them were good. This one has got a good shot at the odds of being good. James Gunn is usually a pretty dependable movie maker. But you know, again, Hollywood hates America. Hollywood hates Trump. So the Hollywood press is gonna gin this up. As long as Gunn made a good movie, I think he's gonna be okay, and the movie's gonna do okay.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it is.
Superman, though, you're right. He's an American. He's really an American brand.
Well, we have somebody.
I can still see Christopher Reeve flying with the American flag towards the camera. You know, it's great.
Well, we have somebody from another country who actually does love America, Andre.
The Iron Man. Oh, Andre.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel that America is being viewed outside the U.S.? And I know you're somebody who's kind of a realist, so I
right now, bad.
That's what I figured.
And it's very much so media driven, because right now, certainly in Europe, I can't speak to anywhere else, but right now, the European media is in lockstep with America bad because Orange Man is bad. And ordinary Americans are completely and utterly against Orange Man because they're good globalists, just like us media people here in Europe. But America right now is bad and it's insane and everything is horrible. And like even in Norway, like every Wednesday at like 10 o'clock p.m., you have a news program called Trump's World. I'm not even joking. About like all the madness that Trump has done this week. And everything is being framed as if it was bad and horrible and dreadful.
What's it called?
Trump's World.
Trump's World. Trump's World. Excellent.
Yeah. Literally, exactly. So, and the problem is that many, like in the US, the media took it way too far so that people lost faith in the mainstream media. In Europe, that hasn't happened in the same way because they never went as completely nuts as the corporate news in America. Like some of the things that happened there were just insane, so people were forced to basically not believe it anymore. That hasn't happened in Europe, not the same way. So the people watching alternate news and stuff like that is significantly smaller than what you have in the US. So I would say that right now, views of America are not as bad as during the Bush era with the Iraq invasion and stuff like that, but not too far off either. And it's entirely media driven because people are given extremely skewed and incorrect, well, not incorrect, but they're giving skewed news They're not given the full picture. And for that reason, right now, perceptions of America are not good. So I agree with Tom. Internationally, it may not be the best idea right now to put truth, justice, and the American way in the movie. Now, I happen to feel it should be there anyway, and kowtowing to what Europe feels is the same thing as cutting away any kind of like LGBTQIAP plus stuff from movies because the UAE might not like it. And there are times when it really needs to be there for the movie, and then you really shouldn't kowtow. And it's like the same thing here. I think that truth, justice, and the American way needed to be in the movie. And I hope I will enjoy the movie, but already knowing that it's not going to be there, I will feel that's something that's missing. Because if it's something that the world needs more than ever right now, it is the American way. Not what the leftist journals would tell you that the American way is, but what it actually is. The American way that revitalized America after World War II and also brought Europe back again as well. That's what's needed. That's what we do need. So I wish it was in the movie.
No, and I agree with you, but I understand.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know,
you're right, Tom. You're right.
We're just coming out of 4th of July, and I can't tell you how many people in the business here in town who didn't celebrate it, who are ashamed or contemplative. And these are, you know, working people in the business. And I said, just think about the words you just said, right? That you can actually question, that you can actually, you know, disagree with your government, disagree with. That's why you need to celebrate.
Yeah,
Pick a
freedom.
day.
Yeah.
Pick a day.
Yeah. And
just chill for a fucking minute and hang out with other Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Indeed.
you know, as that's why this whole thing is a part of that. This shame. I mean, you have people wearing upside down flags, you know, as fashion, going to parties this weekend. And it's like, you know what?
Well,
I know where you come from. You know, you should know better. You should know like what the reason why your father left Spain. You know, it's just the TDS, all that shit is like it's just.
Well, I find it interesting
really
because what's interesting about this is because even James kind of makes these points, right?
Yeah.
And I know Chris, you got to go here, but like basically, it almost feels like James, without these people realizing it, he's saying that Superman is good because he's salt of the earth and he's raised by people that are middle America, right? The same people that you're saying that are these red state folks. So in a way, the values that Superman is bringing to the world are those values, right? And the people that he's up against are the people that are pushing all these other agendas, right? In a weird way, I have a feeling that may play out that way, whether it was intended or not, because think about it for a minute, right?
Yeah, that's the best part about Man of Steel. He's not a threat to America. I grew up in Kansas.
Right.
Exactly. But Chris, thank you for being here, man. I know you stuck in as
long
as
I
you
do. Thanks again. We've got this story. We talk about it on Bleeding Full today, and we've got that post-mortem on 28 years later at bleedingfull.com. Thanks, guys. Good discussion. You guys are smart. I'm just happy to be here.
We're glad to
take
have
care
you.
of yourself. We love having you here, brother. All right.
Take care, Chris.
So yeah, I don't know, Andre, if there was much more you had to say on this before we get to the video. Anyway,
I have to take a deep dive into the story.
Yeah.
I have not yet had the time to do that.
Yeah, but Paulie, I don't know. I mean, again, not to try and pick at you because you've seen the film, but is that what I just said kind of feel like it's part of the film? Is that, you know, Superman's old school kind of traditional values that he was raised with kind of conflict with modern day like world, or is that even part of the film or anything like that? Or
it's part of the film, but there's something with his Krypton parents. I mean, if anything, he leans in, and I said this to you, he leans into Mom and Pa Kent.
Good.
Yeah.
Because these are the people that the media is calling all these names, and I don't know if James is even aware of that in some ways. I mean, he might be, and he kind of is in his answer. It does feel that way, because that's what it feels like his answers keep coming off as to me. And again, this is my own opinion, so keep that in mind, is that he's trying to kind of keep it as neutral as possible. Whether it was Zaslav said, look, I get it, you hate Trump, but we got to keep this shit as neutral as fucking possible right now, because, this movie's got to play in Kansas, right? So think about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think all this, right? It's like, guys, go watch the film.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There, you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe, and join us.